to begin your broadcast. The
Hi,
broadcast is now
everybody. My
starting.
name is
All
Janice
attendees are in
Savage, and I'm
listen-only
a
mode.
family support consultant with Vermont Family Network. I'm here today with Martha Frank, who is also a family support consultant, to give you a quick tour of our transition toolkit for youth with disabilities. The easiest way to find it is to go to our website, which is vermontfamilynetwork.org, and to navigate to the very bottom under Quick Links and to click on Transition Toolkit for Youth with Disabilities. Martha's just going to walk you through some of the sections that you'll find in the toolkit, and I'm going to scroll down the page.
Hi, and thanks for joining us, and thank you for your interest in exploring our website and our Transition Toolkit. The very first thing that I'd like to point out is something new that's been added to the toolkit. It's called the Family Guide to Transition Services in Vermont. And this particular publication was generously printed by the Agency of Education. So when you get a chance, I hope you can take a look at it. And next, I think we're going to go through the different sections. I'm going to just let Janice hover on each and every one. The introduction tells you a little bit about what the publication is and the author. The next one goes on to acronyms. In the world of special education, there are lots and lots of terms and many acronyms. Then we have acknowledgments. Then we move through to adult services for people with developmental disabilities. This is one of the Vermont Family Network fact sheets. Next, we move on to the changing role of parents. This is a good place to visit when parents have young people who are transitioning to adulthood. The next one is education options and programs in Vermont. And this is worth a peek. There are a lot of programs we have, especially programs for students with intellectual disabilities and or autism. I think that Vermont is unique in that we have lots of great options for folks. So I would, suggest take a look at that and see if there's any websites that you'd like to take a visit at. Next, we're going to go on to employment and other options, followed by flexible pathways, Act 77, and dual enrollment. This is a really important chapter for folks, as these are new initiatives in our educational opportunities in the state of Vermont. Next, we move through to going to work in college, which is another wonderful fact sheet that Vermont Family Network developed. We also go on to guardianship and alternatives for adults with disabilities. We then move through the different kinds of laws that affect youth with disabilities. It's important to take a look at those and know what your rights and responsibilities are for both parents and youth. Next, we have parents as partners in the transition planning process. Janice, do you want to click on that one for a moment, please? Thank you. This will just give you a little bit of an idea. These are all printable, and it gives a lot of information for families around parent and family involvement and how important that is in the success of a young person. Maybe Janice can go back to the toolkit. Next, we have preparing for post-secondary education, know your rights, followed by planning tips for transition age youth and their families. In this particular section, there's actually a timeline which gives families and educators and youth an idea of what we should be doing and thinking about as we approach different ages. And again, these are all printable, so you're welcome to go through and print them. But you'll notice, Janice, if you want to scroll back the other way for a moment. Thank you, Janice. Anything that is in a color is a hyperlink. And when you click on those, and this is throughout the entire electronic guide, it will bring you to, why don't we try that? We'll click on the ongoing age-appropriate transition assessments. This is something that's been put out by NTAC. It's a great publication, and if you're wondering about different types of assessments, this is a pretty comprehensive resource. So as we move through this guide, it talks about timelines, what should happen in middle school, and we'll pause here for a moment. And again, you'll notice there's a lot of different types of links that are certainly worth investigating. In the state of Vermont, transition planning, a transition plan actually has to be in place by the age of 16, which means we all should really be thinking about it at the age of 14 or 15. So it's never too early to start. And when we think about it, we look at middle school and we start thinking about, what kinds of things does our young person want to be doing? It also talks in this section about personalized learning plans. And that's an important thing for folks to be learning about. Now we move into high school. We have a transition planning assessment form that we'd like to click on so you get an idea of what that looks like. This is very helpful for families as they move through planning. So you'll see here there's a nice sample of how you can guide your youth and your team. You can be a really strong part of your team, and you can participate by using a form like this. It will help gather information. And let's see, as we move through this, there are a lot of pieces in here about unified sports, and I think every single age, we do think about all of those things. Specialized driving. Some students need some specialized driving instruction so that they can access driver's ed and meet success. We also have health assessments when we think about someone who has significant health concerns. That is also important when we think about developing IEP goals. Here we have designated agencies. In the state of Vermont, every single area has designated agencies that provide services for folks who have intellectual disabilities or developmental disabilities, folks who may be on the autism spectrum, mental health, in substance abuse also. So there's a lot of information here, and this link will take you right to the ones that may be in your area. And we're also noticing here that we've got Green Mountain SelfAdvocates, and they do some wonderful things for advocacy training and social events, and the Vermont Center for Independent Living. And again, we revisit unified sports with Special Olympics. So as you can see here, in every grade and age, there are different considerations, and this guide hopefully acts as a prompt for families and their team to really be thinking about what should be in my child's transition plan. And that transition plan that's developed is as good as the assessments that are administered. What's really important to know is that a good transition plan is based on ongoing age-appropriate transition assessments, not just once when a child turns 16, ongoing and age-appropriate. So I think we're going to finish scrolling on this area. And next, we're going to look at regional by county transition adult resources. So here we have listed by county. And as you can see, each of the counties are listed, and maybe we'll hit the one for Chittenden, Janice, and we'll just give folks an idea of what's on that. So here we have, it's broken down in each one. We have education resources. We have different education school district supervisory unions, and each of these hyperlinks brings you to the individual website so you can access information. Employment and supported employment services, independent schools and programs. So when you get a chance, if this is of interest to you, certainly take a look. And when we're done with the resources by county, next we're going to look at self-advocacy, awareness, and disclosure. These are important topics. And again, this is all printable. And, there's a lot of tip sheets in here. This is very important for student success. to really increase their self-advocacy skills. And sometimes we think it's a great idea, actually it'd be a great idea for all students, to have self-advocacy goals written into their IEP. Next, we have a fact sheet on supplemental security income, tips for youth, and lastly, the resource guide for the transition toolkit. This is a very large resource. And you can see here that we've got many topics, starting with accommodations, advocacy, apprentice. When you have a few moments, I'll let Janice just scroll through quickly so you have an idea of what the topics are. Again, these are all hyperlinks that you can dive deeper and gather the information. And yeah, it's rather comprehensive. And I'm going to ask my viewers this. If you have a resource and you don't see it listed, please email Martha Frank at martha.frank@vtfn.org, and I'd be happy to add it. Or if you ever find that there's a link that's not working correctly, we'd be really happy to be notified. So that would be great. We would appreciate that. And if you have any questions, we certainly say to folks, transition's a big topic. It's a lot for families and young people to learn about. And here at Vermont Family Network, we have a helpline that's staffed by family consultants who'd be more than happy to speak with you about your concerns and help you navigate the resources and information that we've got laid out in this particular guide. So we hope to hear from you. Our telephone number is on our website, and you can also email us if you want to contact us that way. So thanks so much for joining us today, and we hope that this resource is helpful to you, your youth, and your family. Thank you.